Hello, Internet. This is Bone Carlos coming to you live from Metalopolis to bring you another StarCraft 2 commentary. Hello again. Forget those guys. Don't worry about them. What's more important is the two people that are talking right now. It's just me, Bone Carlos, as always. I'm going to be co-casting with none other than Clive at 5. The man, the myth, the man, the legend. I'm sorry, Clive. Apologies for messing that up.
I'm just larger than life. You can't even pronounce my name. Yes, that's what it is.
I just talking and I just stumbled like an awkward kid asking a cute girl out. I just couldn't handle your awesomeness.
Well, you know, it happens to everyone. So, what's new with you?
Nothing. For those of you that don't know me or about my channel, obviously the ones that are going to be watching this on Clive's pages and channels and his networking sites, I am Bone Carlos. I take care of anything that is sort of non-professional and more just mainstream quote-unquote games. So, you know, Call of Duties and StarCraft 2. I used to do reviews, video game reviews of underappreciated games, but I kind of stopped that since my time is limited now. But hopefully I'll be able to bring those back up. What about
Carlos.
you? Yeah.
The underappreciated games are the ones that need the most help.
I try, but you know, full-time job, dude. I mean, 40 hours a week plus commute. I just, ouch. Ouch.
Forget Call of Duty, seriously. All right, well, I do something similar. I mean, I do, of course, a lot of casting in StarCraft games, but I'll do the occasional playthrough of a few lesser-known games and a little bit more into the indie game scene. So you'll see me doing a lot more of that type of stuff. So we need your help back in the underappreciated games.
I'm trying. Actually, I noticed that we were doing a Let's Play with Sonic Generations. That's actually the last game that I was actually going to do before I said, you know what, I can't do this. I don't have the time, and just kind of sent it back. Man, it was a fun game, though. I really enjoyed it. But you know what? We're actually watching StarCraft 2, not Sonic Generations. So let's go ahead and introduce the players. We have EGiNcontroL spawning as the blue Protoss. Protoss for life, eh? Check out my tattoo of Protoss.
Really?
You don't know? I actually, okay, we're gonna go. Forget about these guys. It's not important. I actually got a tattoo on my forearm of the Protoss accolade symbol. So
nice.
pretty awesome. I'll link a picture. I'll show you all that stuff. No big deals. And what are we doing? Oh yeah, and iSjEcho spawning as the red Zerg in the 4 o'clock position and already has a spawning pool with speed being researched. While EGiNcontroL tries to do the whole little block of the natural for him.
Yeah, and of course won't last very long since those Zerglings are ready to go, and he does just cancel it. So I'm curious. I mean, we all know EGiNcontroL. Who's this Echo character? Am I just not paying enough attention? Have you heard of Echo before?
I like on the fringes of my just peripheral vision. I have heard of someone called Echo, but I don't delve too much into pro players. I mean, I do watch them and enjoy their take on the game, but I'm focused more on lesser known quote unquote players by doing like local tournaments and such like that. But I have heard of Echo somewhat, and for the fact that he's playing up against EGiNcontroL, it should tell you about the skill level that they're at.
Sure, definitely. So you do some local casting. That's cool.
Yeah, actually just recently I participated in DYESL tournament up in Canada. I did a couple of casts for them and just sent them off the replays. Whatever they do with that, it's up to them. But I think it was about 64 players. I think the prize pool was around $1,000. So yeah, just a little lesser known, kind of in view with my underappreciated games. I just do on the underappreciated tournaments and such.
Right on. So it does look like, yeah, I was just going to say, EGiNcontrol's saving up for a bunch of minerals. Looks like he's planning down that Nexus. He seems to look fairly safe with the number of whatever those things are that put down the force fields. Oh, yeah, centuries.
There you go. I knew you'd get there, buddy. I knew you'd get there. I'm like, click on the unit. There it is.
Yeah.
And it actually does look like he's actually doing, this is actually a fairly early expansion. It's a bit dangerous since if Echo does actually scout this off and just swarms in with a bunch of lings, if a dozen or so lings get into his natural area, that's not enough sentries to be able to put down that force field. I mean, there is 1, 2, 3 sentries, and none of them have enough energy to put down 2 force fields. And even if they are able to put down 2 force fields, each that's 6 force fields, that's not enough to cover that wide open area. So if Echo decides to just mass produce those Zerglings, it'll be a tough time for EGiNcontroL to be able to hold off.
Yeah, that's definitely true, but it does look like Echo is spending a lot of time getting his natural expansion fortified, throwing down 3 spine crawlers now, so definitely not too concerned. There's no tech going down in his base. There's no hive being not hive, but layer being researched. Finally, a roach warren going down, and just starting to harvesting that gas again. So he seems to be in no big hurry to start getting aggressive against EGiNcontroL.
Yeah, definitely. And as we can see, actually both players are doing the same. We do see EGiNcontroL putting down 3 extra gateways, and now he finally has enough of a wall off with these sentries to be able to wall off any kind of Zergling run by. But it looks like both players are just foregoing any kind of early push and deciding to go with just a long macro play. I mean, EGiNcontroL could definitely put down 2 more gates to do a little 2-gate or a 6-gate 2-base push, as is pretty popular up against Zerg, but given how both players at both players' level, I doubt that's gonna happen. More than likely, it's gonna just go into a high-end, long macro game.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. They're both gearing it up, and I also like seeing that the hallucinated Phoenix being used. I think hallucinate should be used a whole lot more, not just in the early game scouting against Zerg, but more later game. You see it for that one little first scout, sometimes later scouts, but it could be used a whole lot more strategically. And he does actually catch a glimpse of that 3rd hatchery from Echo in the 2, 3, 4 o'clock position.
Yeah, definitely. And like you were saying, I'm actually starting to gear up and using hallucination a lot more, and not just for scouting purposes, and not just against Zerg, but I actually found myself using it quite a lot against Terran. I haven't quite refined it so much so that I use it that it's 100% effective, but what I like doing is doing about 5-6 gates and then 1 robo, and then churning out Colossus just from that one robotic bay until I got like 3 or 4, and then just hallucinating a lot more, a lot of Colossuses in, making the Terran think that I'm going heavy Colossus. He's going to usually counters with a ton of Vikings, whereas I use a gas that I would normally use for the Colossus onto High Templar, and then I got about a dozen High Templar, only about 4 Colossus. He has about 20 Vikings, and he has nothing to do with them, and I just steamroll his bio army. I mean, it doesn't always work. Like I said, I'm still refining it, but it generally is very fun to be able to do the good old switcheroo on your opponent.
Definitely. And since just the scouting and countering with tech is such a huge part of any StarCraft game, I'm surprised that more pro players don't use it to dupe their opponents.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where just spells or units aren't really used as much. I mean, I remember in Season 1 and 2, no Zerg player ever used Infestors. Now it's just the backbone of every Zerg matchup, even though against every race. I mean, they even use Infestors up against the automatons. It's just nuts how much they use the Infestors nowadays compared to what they were doing before.
Yeah, definitely, and there's no good reason not to use Infestors. I actually will have kind of a...
Go ahead, tell it. I'm interested now, you got to.
A friend of mine QQs a lot. He's a Zerg player, and basically he won't use Infestors. And, I've been telling him Zerg is the strongest unit the strongest race in the game currently with the Infestors, and he refuses to use Infestors. And he's a good player otherwise, but he just keeps getting steamrolled, and, well, basically he ends up quitting StarCraft for months at a time just because he can't take it.
Oh wow, yeah, that's definitely something you don't want to do. I mean, and I'm the type of person that if something's not working, I'll just do something completely different and just experiment. And definitely Infestors are definitely a backbone up against any kind of race. I mean, if you're facing Blink Stalkers, Infestors just shut that down. A mass Biobomb by Terran, Infestors shut that down. And as we reminisce, we actually see EGiNcontroL actually doing a little bit of a push forward, taking out these creep tumors, and then just pulling back. So he's definitely just canceling out that vision that those creep tumors provided, especially on the highway in between both players' bases. So he doesn't want to give the Zerg player any more of an advantage than he already has by having that creep highway. Definitely the vision helps, and also there is no speed boost for the Zerg units when they're not on creep.
Just out of curiosity, what's your timestamp?
My timestamp would be at 11:38.
Holy crap. We are not at all in line. So I'm going to pause, and you let me know when you get to 13:17.
Technical difficulties, folks. This is the great, fantastic thing that is going live, and having different computers that aren't synced up right now. We actually do a big old roach push going down from Echo, and he's going to go ahead and going down that same highway that I was talking about earlier, and just taking down those that EGiNcontroL took down those creep tumors. He's actually using that overload to spot the high ground and took down a little pylon that was just hanging out right there. And hey, a free pylon is a free pylon. I won't have any kind of problems with anybody using that right now. And as you can see, Echo has decided to just go around, swing by, and actually going for that third that he knows that iNcontroL is going to be gearing up to get at the moment, but decides to just hang back around the little Manx statue. I would actually like to see him push forward, take out that Manx statue just for kicks and giggles. And he's actually pushing forward with those roaches and going to go ahead and attack the third of iNcontroL while we are at 1303.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Blizzard. All right, so right now we yeah, right. We actually see Echo. We actually see Echo pushing forward, and he sees a bunch of roaches that get caught off guard by those force fields that just get walled off completely, and those are actually pro force fields. I mean, that's exactly how many force fields you need to be able to block that entire ramp for minimum energy expenditure. And we see iNcontrol's army consists of a few immortals, which directly counter those roaches. And Echo decides to, after that little push, he's just going to go ahead and get the fourth hatchery up and running. So right now I'm at 14 minutes. What about you, Clive?
Yeah, just a couple seconds behind you, but that's great.
Seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, just like you said about getting that free pylon, it's definitely worth it just to get a couple free roaches. I mean, using those force field to split the army in half, of course, that's no new strategy, but just as though you want, you know, every little bit counts, of course, and wherever you can take down just a few roaches. I mean, there was only 4 or 5 roaches that that Echo lost, but still a small victory for iNcontroL. Now both players continuing to macro up, and a lot of infestors out now. So this is where the game is going to start to change a bit, I think.
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, once those infestors get... Right now, we've only seen, like, tier 1 units by Echo, but as soon as those infestors come in, this army is just going to go ahead and get stuck, and it's going to get surrounded by those roaches. I mean, roaches, stalkers, and sentries are good units as long as you don't let your opponent get into your face. But if those infestors do manage to hit them with those little goopy balls, what are those things called, Clive?
The fungal growth.
Fungal growth.
Balls.
The goopy balls.
The goopy balls.
The goopy. Yeah. If Echo manages to get iNcontrol's army all gooped up with those goopy balls, it will actually cause a lot of problems. While we actually see iNcontrol's base is gonna go down by that Zergling run by, and it actually does go down. So right now we actually see 2 bases for iNcontroL, while at the same time Echo decides to push forward and try to take down as many warp gates as possible. He takes down 1, and if he decides to just push up forward, we actually see a single Colossus over here trying to do as much damage, and then force fields and a single Zealot kind of just completely swarm and surround those roaches. That's a huge loss for Echo right there.
Yeah, those were some monster force fields, and Echo was really foolish to try to push up into the base at that point. He should have just taken the gateway and pulled back, regrouped his troops. Another big force of Zerglings moving in, but they're not going to be able to get up into the base because iNcontroL has locked off that side with gateways and pylons.
Yeah, this new third is effectively safe from a rear door entry, and as we can see, another little this little force is might be gonna caught off guard. If iNcontroL knows that these Zerglings are here, that Zergling pack is gone. But as you were saying before, yeah, it was a bit greedy for those roaches to try to push forward. But I think Echo was hoping for iNcontroL not to notice while he had his units distracted over here at the third, and be able to swing by into the main base, maybe pick off another. Maybe be able to pick off another his main, but as you can see, the Zerglings actually just said, you know what, a back door, forget that. I'm just gonna go ahead and go into the front door while your army is somewhere else, and it forces another cancel on that third expansion.
Yeah, and just keeping iNcontroL off of a third base is just going to be really detrimental. If you can take a look at the income tab, you can tell that Echo is quite a bit ahead. Of course, iNcontroL has all the harvesters he needs. He just doesn't have the mineral patches he needs, and of course he's going to run out in his main at any second, whereas Echo's comfortably on 4 bases, going to start harvesting minerals from his 4th as well.
And that is exactly true. I mean, even if the harvester count is the same, you actually see that the mining bases for Echo is at about 3, while iNcontroL only has about 1 at the moment. And he probably senses it, decides to go for a big push, but there is just too many spine crawlers there. I mean, I see about a good dozen or so spine crawlers, and then iNcontroL decides to blink forward into his main base, takes out unit-producing structures willy-nilly, almost going to take down that Roach Worm. But as you can see, the Goopy Balls do hold down those Blink Stalkers, and Goopy Balls hold down those Blink Stalkers, and they are just totally caught off guard. Roaches are going to take out an entire army, while the Corruptors do as much damage as they can to the Colossus. But that goes, there goes the Blink Stalker army of EGiNcontroL. Huge loss for him.
I can't believe he didn't focus down the Roach Warren for the rest of the 185 hit points it had left. Greater Spire in the meantime down, and there are Broodlords in production, so this is not looking too great for EGiNcontroL, I have to say. A 5th going down for Echo. Meanwhile, EGiNcontroL trying to get back on the economic game by taking the gold expansion here in the top middle. But it's going to get picked off by a bunch of Zerglings as well, unless EGiNcontroL can act quickly. Moving in a bunch of forces. Are they going to be able to stop these Zerglings from taking down the Nexus?
And it does look like it might get repelled. There's about 200 hit points, and it does get repelled for just barely. And it is. I look at this as more of a bit of a desperation move. I mean, EGiNcontroL knows he's behind, and taking this gold when he doesn't have any great lanes of protection, as I like to call them. I mean, he could have his army in between the two mains and then have the gold completely blocked off, but right now he doesn't have it blocked off, and he's going to go ahead and push forward yet again with his Blink Stalkers, trying to take down that Greater Spire, but the Blink Stalkers are again fell victim to the Goopy Paws while the Broodlords attack them from a distance. I mean, this Greater Spire will survive, and all these attacks just reek of desperation from EGiNcontroL.
And once again, he just did not focus. Once his Stalkers were up in the base, they just started shooting at anything. And if he's trying to take down the Greater Spire, freaking take down the Greater Spire. Don't just sit there and half-ass it.
Oh, yeah, that's just a good point. I mean, blink forward, you knew that the Spire was there, you knew that the Greater Spire was there. Just blink forward and immediately start attacking. If you would have had a couple more volleys from all those Stalkers, definitely would have taken on that Greater Spire. But in my opinion, the damage is done. I mean, in the units tab, we already see 9 Broodlords in the 9 Broodlords in Echo's army, and without that many Stalkers, I mean, in my opinion, you just need a ton of Stalkers and Zealots, charge lots, to be able to bring down a lot of Broodlords. Just blink forward and pick off of those Broodlords while the Zealots do the main damage with a couple of Colossus backup, but there's just not enough in the army to deal with everything that he has. I mean, you have Infestors, you have Broodlords, and this just looks bad all around. The Goopy Balls do go down, Infested Marines go down, Broodlords are just taking and ripping into everything that EGiNcontroL has. I mean, he did manage to pick off a 4th, but at what cost? And you can see the gold is going to be taken down by a counterattack with all the roaches that Echo had. So it looks like it's going to go back down to equal footing. I mean, right now, EGiNcontroL just backed himself into a corner. Those Colossus might escape, but the rest of his army is done.
Yeah, definitely, it's not looking good at all, and you know when you're backed up into a base like that, you're pretty much going to lose the bulk of your army, and with all those Immortals going down, even Immortals, which are, you know, there's still roaches out here that need to be taken care of, and the Immortals are critical for that. It's just not, and man, EGiNcontrol's armies everywhere in pieces, scattered around, and now Echo takes the gold, so whatever EGiNcontroL once had is now not had.
Yeah, he's basically down to 2 bases, and we can see, yeah, we see Zerglings, we see roaches over here.
He's building a mothership.
He's actually, that is very interesting choice to do. He's building a mothership. The mothership is answer to all our problems. I mean, hey, why not use it? They are going to be gone when Heart of the Storm is released, and why not use it when you have the chance, especially when you know you're pretty much lost the game at this point. I mean, EGiNcontroL is just scattered about. He has a couple of gateways that haven't been warped into warp gates, and he has one patch on his natural. He has a full saturation at his 3rd. It's basically 1 mining base up against 1 mining base as well. 1 1/4 mining bases for Echo, but as you can see, he's already taken his gold, and he's already retaken his 4th. So in a few seconds, he's gonna be back up to full income potential, while EGiNcontroL is still only on basically 1 base.
Yeah. So if you have a mothership right now, what's your strategy? Do you save up for a Vortex, try to catch all his troops in there?
More than likely, yes. That's the only thing that he can do. I mean, if he had a mothership, if his initial plan or his whole plan revolved around having a mothership, I would definitely have. I mean, it's silly, but it's possible to be able to use it with a more mobile, quote-unquote, Protoss army consisting of blink stalkers and charge lots. I mean, pushing forward and picking off peripheral hatcheries or expanding bases of your enemy while being able to recall your enemies back. But at this stage of the game, I feel like this is just again another desperation move. Hopefully, being able to catch as much of your enemy's army as possible in the vortex, but with Broodlords hanging back, he might be able to take down a few like roaches and zerglings while catching a couple of infestors, but he won't be able to catch everything all at once.
Yeah, and I do realize that Echo doesn't really have a whole lot of well, I guess he does have a few overlords there. I didn't see those before, but yeah, I don't know. Not even the cloak is going to help that much.
No, not really. I mean, cloak, it does help, but I mean, he spotted that mothership coming. He has 3 overlords, overseers actually, pushing with his army, so he could just keep pushing forward. He could send one in to get us to spot for detection. As soon as that one gets taken down, and we see mass changelings going in. EGiNcontroL isn't fooled. Well, at the same time, we have roaches over here at the north side of the map, and actually 2 managed to sneak into the army of EGiNcontroL. They're kind of hanging back, and I actually like to see them right-click to follow him, but he actually spotted the entire composition of the army. Did he actually take down his own stalker? It looks like EGiNcontroL actually took down his own stalker trying to get a changeling, but as you can see, zerglings and roaches are taking down another expanding base, and right now I think Echo is in a comfortable spot. He's just letting EGiNcontroL just hang back while he just harasses around the edges of the map, making sure that EGiNcontroL doesn't have any more money, while he himself gears up to it looks like another 200-300 food push. I mean, right now Echo is just in the dominant position right now. He's going to keep continuing to harass while trying to keep EGiNcontroL at his own base, just starve him to death, basically.
Yeah, I think he was just dumping supply there, letting all those roaches and zerglings get killed. Because now he's just gearing up with more corruptors flying in, morphing into broodlords. So definitely. So yeah, you definitely got a good point. I mean, he's up to a chunk of broodlords, and if he actually gets about 7 or 8 corruptors on the field, he'll actually be able to 1 or 2 shot that mothership. So I mean, the motherships are great; they are beefy, powerful units, but if you got that many corruptors on the field, it's not going to stand any more than a couple of volleys. We actually see a warp prism going down by EGiNcontroL, wondering what he's going to be able to do with that. Not much is my guess. We're off in time again, so let me know when you get to 29-21. Are you on faster, by the way?
Yes, I am on faster, sir. Huh. I am on faster, so it probably has to do with the systems. I mean, skips here and there is just going to add up over time. I mean, I'm at 29-27. 29:30.
Oh crap! All right.
What time would you be at?
Now I'm at 29:30. I'm just gonna stop at 30.
You're gonna stop at 30. All right. And then we actually see zerglings pushing forward, trying to take off that fleet beacon of EGiNcontroL. And we're actually at about 29:57. The fleet beacon does go down. We're exactly at 3 minutes, 30 minutes now.
All right.
All right, looks like my computer, as we saw by the time test, is the crappier one of the two, since mine does that much lagging and skipping.
What you didn't see was when my computer froze the first time we tried to do this cast, and it took me literally 10 minutes to get StarCraft booted up again.
Oh, well, see, you didn't have to tell anyone. I was going to go ahead and keep that secret, no problem.
Okay, we were only like 5 minutes in. Not even 5 minutes in. We were probably 3 minutes in. And then
there we go. And I actually see a lot. Oh, I actually see a ton of Banelings going down for Echo. So Banelings, Infestors, and Broodlords. It looks like it's going to be his end game. We actually see a mothership going to go in, and I'm assuming it's going to go ahead and do a mass recall, blink that, just kind of go ahead and take that entire army of his and just put it into Echo's main base. And we actually see it actually worked. And Echo has just decided to just patiently wait around while his entire base is just destroyed. And as you can see from my screen, the hive is down, and there is a lot of lag going on. I mean, motherships tend to do that. And Echo is just kind of hanging back, and then he's actually putting down a bunch of infested Terrans as my computer just keeps lagging.
Yeah, really this doesn't accomplish a whole lot because the production centers are the hatcheries, and he only took down 1 hatchery. Meanwhile, Roach Warren going back down, there's already a second spire up. And, well, I guess, you know, with that continued Zealot harass. Looks like EGiNcontroL might be able to take down another hatchery, which is all fine and good, but the real story is in the army tab. And if you take a look at the army tab, you can see that Echo has a 10,000 mineral army, 7,800 gas, versus EGiNcontrol's 65 and 5,300 mineral and gas army. So it's just like a move time, and I don't know what Echo's waiting for, honestly. It's
yeah, it almost feels like he missed his window of opportunity. I mean, right now he's not down too much. I mean, he's rebuilding those hatcheries, but there isn't much else that Echo has. I mean, he's really losing he's really losing his window. He has a huge army, but he's not choosing to engage. At the same time, we see EGiNcontroL back up to his 3 mining bases, and as of right now, it looks like Echo only has none. He actually doesn't have anything. He has 36 harvesters at the moment, and he has about half of the income tab that EGiNcontroL has. So right now, we're actually looks like harassment by EGiNcontroL, and then Echo decided to lay dormant for a while. It gave EGiNcontroL the opportunity to just claw back his way into this game. We actually see 4 starports going down for him. So we're actually see a ton of Void Rays, and this Archon army, this Archon Stalker Mothership army is actually, it's actually now is actually quite scary. I mean, we were bashing on EGiNcontroL a little bit ago, but look at that. The power of his girlfriend actually finally paid through. Yo, you've seen her, right?
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Miss Oregon or Miss Universe or Miss something. I mean, everybody that makes fun of EGiNcontroL for one other reason, they call him overweight. Yeah, that's fine. He's a little bit chunky. Husky is actually the preferred term because he can bench press about 7,000 pounds. And him pulling that girl, man, you know what? GG EGiNcontroL. I never made fun of him in the first place, and I definitely never will at this point. And we actually see the army finally decides to engage by both players, and we actually see Stalkers being taken down by the handful. But these Archons are doing a ton of damage, and a bunch of infested Terrans are going down, and no groupie balls just yet. We actually see a Vortex actually taking nothing. We actually see Echo actually had his units placed around just perfectly, spreading them out enough so a single Vortex couldn't take them all down, and we actually see EGiNcontrol's army melting. He blinks forward, tries to pick off anything at all, but still, there isn't much that he could do. He blinked forward and caught all those Broodlords that were actually getting out of that Vortex, but right now there still isn't that much going on. It's too close to see exactly who's gonna win. Groupie balls do finally go down on those Stalkers, and the Corruptors are picking off and just channeling away at that mothership, and EGiNcontroL is forced to retreat.
Did you catch the neural parasite on the mothership?
I did not catch there was a neural. Is that what happened? I completely missed that neural parasite. Fantastic play by Echo. So basically, the tables were turned.
Yeah, and I think that that Vortex actually went to hurt EGiNcontroL because, well, as you said, none of Echo's army got pulled in. Meanwhile, some of his own Stalkers got pulled into the Vortex, and he hurt his own army in trying to use that, whatever.
Yeah, wow.
The change.
Yeah, the changes are actually making a wall off to make sure that no units are able to walk through it, but really there's not. The Colossus is just going to go ahead and say, you know what, that's fine, I'm taller than you. It's going to walk on over you. And as we see the power of the Zerg army, I mean, look at the army tabs right now in the food tab. We have 96 for EGiNcontroL, 163 for Echo. I mean, having so many bases, just hotkey to one key, and just 4, and then whatever you want. I mean, I usually go my Nexus or hatcheries at 4, so heading 4, and then whatever unit you want, you just mass produce them in the middle of battle. A little bit tougher to do as Protoss, as we can see. I mean, it looks like EGiNcontroL is about to lose this. I mean, Zerglings are in his last mining base. EGiNcontroL has nothing. He has 1 mineral patch on his 3rd, nothing else. He does have 2 Colossi and a few Stalkers, but compared to what Echo has, Echo says, you know what, that's fine. I'm going to go. You have nothing. I'm going to head on home, re-macro up, give you another 300 food push to finish you off. I am in no hurry to win this game. And as you can see, the income by EGiNcontroL is at 0 minerals right now.
Another Zealot harass coming from EGiNcontroL, but really it's not going to do a whole lot of good. They're running face first into just a huge clump of infestors who just lay the goopy balls straight down on them, and that's...
I'm telling you, man, the goop, look that, there it is, the goopy ball, and I'm telling you, man, OP, hopefully Blizzard patches them and nerfs them in the next game, giving them a range of 1 and a duration of 0. That is what I'm hoping. You know, well, I mean, it'll just make everything balanced. You know, those goopy balls right now are a bit too powerful. if the proposed changes that I said are done, infestors will pretty much be pretty even. But as you can see, that entire Zealot harass, quote unquote, is over. And right now,
thanks for fixing that, quote unquote harass. That's I mean, it really was.
Yeah, I mean, it was so far. I mean, it was spotted by Echo by that Overlord at his main, and there's just nothing. I mean, it was a little bit of a misdirect since EGiNcontroL is actually pushing forward to the last mining bases of Echo, but there's just no way he didn't claw his way back. That neuroparasited mothership did its job. Looks like all the drones are actually burrowed, and we see a single warp prism flying in while it looks like Echo's decided to go ahead. You're gonna go ahead and push forward with his main army to just destroy this last remaining vestige of EGiNcontrol's party. While as soon as that happens, the little Zerglings are gonna unburrow and just push forward to finish them off.
Well, on mine, that's all she wrote.
And GG, well played.
I spoiled it for Bone Carlos viewers. Sorry, everyone.
Terrible. You know what? They're going to take... I have tens and tens and maybe tens of people that kind of watch my show.
Tens.
So I got tens and tens of people that watch mine too. Fives and tens, so maybe ones and twos will actually take offense to that.
You know, it won't be the worst offense I've made against... Well, anyway. Wow, it was great doing a co-commentary with you. We're going to have to do this again soon.
Definitely. We'll have a daily Clive. A daily Clive and a Bone Clive. We gotta think of... I mean, they have Taste Hostess. We have Tasteless and Artosis. We have Day 9 and DJ Wheat, I believe. So right. DJ Day or something they call him. We'll come up with a nickname, guys.
Bone Clive.
Bone Clive? Bone Clive. Something. You know what? Okay, that's what this is the homework. This is what the viewers' homework is, to come up with a co-casting name for us. So with my ones and twos of fans and your hundreds and thousands of armies, I mean, dude, I've seen your views. So your thousands and thousands of dedicated followers and my ones and twos of fans, I'm pretty sure they could come up with something. So that's it for you guys. That's your guys' homework for the viewers, to come up with a co-casting name.
Approved. And
you approved?
I can't end it any better than that.
Awesome. So we're just gonna go ahead and end it. Later.
See ya.